Hello, hello, hello. How are you all doing out there today? Tracy here, and I am in my studio for the first time in ages because we've just arrived home a couple of weeks ago from a 12-week trip to Europe. And when I arrived home, I had all kinds of goodies waiting for me. Our house sitter had left all the boxes of things that arrived on my desk, and I got to open them all up. And one of the things that I was really excited to receive was these two boxes of surf paints. And the folks at Surf Paints have sent them to me to try them out. And apparently these are fabulous on all surfaces. We can use them on porous surfaces like skateboards and canvas and fabric and wood. It's acrylic paint, it's going to dry permanently. On non-porous surfaces like surfboards and plastic, glass and ceramic, you can remove the paint until you seal it with a fast-drying acrylic varnish. So, completely new to me. I am really, really excited. It's an Australian company. Did I say that already? And so they told me that I could order a couple of packs and try them out. So what I want to do first, which I always do when I use a new product, is just to do some swatching. I am not an artist that would use the paint pens solely on their own. I would definitely use them in conjunction with other materials. And so after I swatch them, I want to have a little try and see how I might be able to use them in some of my artworks. So just move those out of the way. So these are the pastel set. So it's an interesting range of colours. No yellows in there, no pinks. But let's have a go and see what they look like when they're swatched. Now, read the instructions. Not very good at reading instructions. Begin by shaking the pen thoroughly. So just like the Posca pens, push the nib down multiple times to saturate with paint and test on the paper to ensure a smooth flow. There is a fly buzzing around here. Before applying to your chosen surface. All right, let's see how long it takes. So I know with Posca pens, sometimes they take forever. And I haven't really had a lot of luck with Poscas. Let's see how these go. Maybe I'm just impatient, so I'm just going to hold it down until I see some colour come to the nib. And while we are waiting on that, so I just want to talk to you a little bit about this big trip that we've just taken. So we had a month in Italy, a month in Spain. Oh, that's nice and creamy, and it didn't take that long at all, actually. Coming to the surface really beautifully. So we had a month in Spain, a month in Italy, and almost a month in France. And 8 weeks of that was travel, including our travel time, and it takes a couple of days to get to Europe and a couple of days to get home. And then 4 weeks of it were retreats that I was teaching. And, oh, that comes out quite quickly. I taught 2 back-to-back retreats in Italy at the amazing venue Hotel Leone in Montalbaro in the region of Le Marche. And it was absolutely stunning. Just think, it has everything that you will find in Umbria and in Tuscany, but then it also has astonishing mountain ranges and also has the ocean as well. So it was just the most beautiful place to teach and to be with my students. I did 2 back-to-back week-long retreats in a row. Oh, I didn't shake today. Maybe that's why this one was a little bit blotchy, because I actually didn't shake it before. So 2 back-to-back retreats in Montalbaro at the beautiful Hotel Leone, and that was amazing. And then after that, a little bit more travel. Then we ended up in Spain, and I did 2 week-long retreats with Uptrek, who are a fabulous company. and they were at 2 different places. I had a little bit of a rest in between those ones. And it was just the most amazing time. And I will be teaching again next year, 2025, in Italy and Portugal. And so yes, in Sicily, Italy, Le Marche, Italy and Portugal. What one did I just use? Was that one? Yes, it was. Talking and swatching at the same time. Yeah, so what was I going to say? So if anybody would like to join me, I'll tell you a little bit more about what happens on retreat. So first up, a lot of people are nervous when they come to a retreat because they're not sure what it's going to hold for them. Sometimes people are worried. Often people are worried that maybe their skill level is not the same as other people's skill levels. So they worry whether they actually won't fit in. Look at that beautiful, luscious purple. Or whether they just won't be good enough, etc., etc. So I want to let you know that at my retreats, I really, really do teach to all levels. From absolute beginners, so sometimes somebody will come along, they'll bring a friend with them who's never painted before, and those people will be very nervous. But the way that I teach, it's just so playful and freeing and forgiving, and I just really want to be a gentle guide for you, you know, to kind of make you feel confident about your potential as a creative. I actually started off teaching kids, and I had a business called Art Spark, and Art Spark stood for self-confident, positive, artistic, resilient, resourceful, kind kids. And I did that for 12 years. And what I really wanted was for those kids to know that every single one of them was an artist and that every single one of them had a unique voice. And so I really tried to teach in a way that they would have success in whatever it was that we were working on, but that they could also use their own creative spin on whatever projects that we were doing. And so I do the same thing with my adult retreats and workshops. And so I find that whether you've had 30 years experience painting, whether you have none, whether you're a hobbyist, whether you're a beginner, whether you do art shows, everybody's kind of on an even keel when they come to my classes, because I guess I teach in a different way. And so I leave a lot open for how do I say? I leave a lot open for surprise. I teach about the value of transformation, so not kind of getting stuck on one thing or worrying if it doesn't turn out exactly the way you wanted. I love actually helping people to transform something that isn't going the way they wanted into something completely different. So we're always, you know, willing and able to change directions. And I think that gives us a lot of scope to grow in our personal lives as well. So I always say that art is a metaphor for life, and that's another thing that we really talk about a lot on retreat. You know, whatever issues that you're having in your life, we can kind of move through those and sometimes heal those things by actually making art as well, and by being more gracious with ourselves and more forgiving with ourselves. And then, you know, finding out through experience and realizing that just because something didn't turn out the way you planned doesn't mean that something else beautiful might not come from it. Ooh, that's a lovely color. One of my favorite colors. So, do they have the colors on them? So, oh, yep, they do. Turquoise. And we've already done light blue. We've done wisteria. We've done violet. We've done orange. We have not done English red yet. We have done grey and we have done beige. So far I'm really impressed with the actual coverage, the flow. This one, like I said, is a little bit kind of swatchy, a little bit, is that the word? I can just see a lot of the marks there, and I think that's because I didn't actually shake it very much. I was too busy talking to you all. All right, let's try this English red. And then I'm going to use them on a piece of watercolor paper that I was using as a palette that already has some color on it. I'm going to see what we can do with these by adding them in. All right, here comes the English red. Of course, we also have options to blend, don't we? So it'll be interesting to see what happens when you paint over another color. All right, let's open up the fluoro set and have a look at these. This out of the way. I do like a nice fluoro. Generally, my favorite fluoro colors are pink and orange. So this fluoro set also has black and white in it. So that is interesting. So anyway, back to the retreats. What generally happens is everyone turns up, I give everyone a big hug, make them feel better. Everyone acknowledge that everyone's feeling anxious, a little bit anxious, and excited, and that all mixes in together. And honestly, by day 2, it's as if we've known each other forever. It always happens. I think it's just because we're, like-minded, creative women getting together. Occasionally a man in the group as well, but not very often, but men are welcome. But yeah, we bond. We usually bond over a glass of wine or a cocktail, and then we're in the studio next day and we're giving ourselves that space and that opportunity to paint and to be creative and to sketch for a whole week. But also at the same time, there are other excursions that are planned depending on where the retreat is, who's organizing it. All the organizers do things in slightly different ways, but there'll always be 2 or 3 trips outside of the retreat center so that we get to see a little bit of the region that we're in as well. So in this very last one that I taught in Spain, in Andalusia, we had a walking half-day trip into the town nearby, which is called El Gasto, beautiful hilltop white washed village, and we sketched and we found a little store that we thought might just sell some souvenirs to take home, and they ended up having a great range of art supplies as well and some really beautiful clothes. So we were all very happy to find this one shop in this tiny town. And then we walked home, we saw goats along the way, had heart-to-hearts with whoever we were walking with. The food was amazing. The chef, Pablo, was fantastic. Oh, that fluoro yellow is beautiful. That particular retreat was vegetarian because it was on a yoga retreat. And so that's their general menu is vegetarian. And it was absolutely exquisite. So not all retreats are vegetarian. As I said, each one will have its own different things that will offer. So the one that has the most spots left next year is Portugal. And I believe there are 5 spots. I think 2 of them are twin share. So if anybody's out there and would like to come and have this experience with a friend, you could share a room. And then there's, I believe, 1 private room left as well. So that is all over on my website. And those numbers are correct at the time of me filming this. It could change any time, but if you go to my website at tracyverdugo.com and look at workshops and retreats, you'll find 2025 Portugal and Sicily, and you'll be able to click on a link and you'll be able to tell how many spots are left at that point. I would absolutely love to share this experience with you. It really is a life-changing experience. And many of the participants go on to form friendships that last for years and years. And some of them have reunions and they go to other retreats together. or they just get together for a painting holiday. So it really is a very, very special thing to do. So if you're nervous about it at all, I would just, really reassure you that, I don't know, the people that come to my retreats are the most beautiful, amazing, caring, loving, funny people that I've met. And so I feel so blessed to actually do this work and to be able to hang out with all of you when you come to these amazing places and paint with me. So yeah, just going back to one of the other retreats that I did in Spain, in Almeria, we did a day trip to Granada, to the beautiful Alhambra, the Moorish, 7th century Moorish castle. And we did another day trip to the beach in Cabo de Gata National Park and had an incredible seafood lunch. Oh, that's beautiful. I'd like that colour in lipstick. Let's see which one we haven't done yet. And then we just had lots of fun evenings, sitting around after dinner, having a glass of wine, sharing stories, playing games, and just laughing. I think if there's one unexpected thing on retreat, maybe, when you think about going on an art retreat, you wouldn't think about laughter as like a high on the list occurrence, but it so is. Like, so many times we are like belly laughing and laughing until we cry just because of the stories, the mix of personalities, the people that come together from different countries, and how, just sharing stories from different cultures. And there are just some hilarious moments that I guess, wouldn't translate if I said them here. But within the group, yeah, we just have such a good time. The food in the other Spanish retreat in Almeria, that it wasn't vegetarian, it was local. So we had amazing fish. What else did we have? Fantastic risotto, not risottos, paellas. And seafood, salads, just divine food. We had lots and lots of hotel cats at that particular place. So if you're a cat lover, I always tend to go to accommodation that has cats. And what else? At the second one in Spain, we went on a day trip to Ronda, which was this incredible city, another white-washed hill town with amazing bridge and gorge that runs through the center of it. And we all had lunch there and did some shopping. Oh, look at that beautiful one. That's lovely. And then from Hotel Leon, we did a number of day trips. I've done the pink already. I've done the orange, done the red, done the green, done the yellow, done the blue. Haven't done black or white. Hotel Leon, I'm teaching it again next year, but it is booked out. It can go on a waiting list. But they have the whole retreat thing down pat. Like, they just run a really tight ship, but also a really warm kind of family experience. And with them, we got to go to an agriturismo and meet this lovely family who started an organic farm because their children were actually really allergic to many, many things. And so they started this farm, I think 12 years ago, and we got to tour around and take photos of all the beautiful, the colour of the plums was just amazing. And then try some of their foods and baby foods and jams and things like that. Then we went to a cheese tasting, and then we culminated in a wine tasting, which was fantastic. This one's taking a little moment to come out. So yeah, every retreat will offer something different. So, I put it on your bucket list if it's something you've never thought about, or if it's something that you've thought about but you just weren't sure about. Please give yourself the gift of going on an art retreat at least once in your life. Oh, that's beautiful. Look at that. Gorgeous. And then one more is the white. So these are lovely. I really love the consistency. I love the smoothness of the flow. I can see definitely using these in my artwork. And usually I'll use paint pens as small details, highlighted areas, patterns, things like that. So I'll be using these definitely in my artworks going forward. And I might have a go at some point of doing some painting on another surface. And if I do, I'll make another video of that. Let's just finish this little swatching here. So I believe they have 4 different sets of colours. And hopefully they'll be adding more, because I'd love to see a bit of a greater range, especially in the pastels there. Maybe they do. I'll have to have a look and see. Nice. You always need a really good white paint pen in your kit. All right, so let's put that aside. And I'm just going to grab a piece that started off as a palette. So all of my students know this. If you've done any of my online classes, I talk about it all the time. I often will use a piece of watercolor paper as my palette. And the reason I do this is because I don't like to waste anything. And also, this has given me like beautiful opportunities to create art. And some of the pieces that I love the most have been created. Let me see if I can find one for you. Created from old palettes. This little one here was a palette that I was using in Spain, no, Italy, I think. And I think I saw one potential little bird and then decided to come in and create birds all over it. And I actually love just the quirkiness of this piece. And also, you know, if you've been working with a particular color palette, then oftentimes it's a limited color palette, and so when you create these birds and then you block out the rest of the color palette with white ink, you've got a really nice cohesive little painting. Or you can just do something really simple like this one, where I've just kind of created a floral design. So it's just a great way to use up leftover paper, leftover palette paint. And usually what I'll do is, if I have paint left on a palette, I'll stamp it down first into my sketchbook, and then I will move around the paint a little bit on the surface with a brush, or stamp down again, and then I'll start coming in with markers, felt pens and things like that. So I like to have a bit of a range of sizes. So these are fairly thick, so I'm going to grab a white one as well, and maybe a felt marker. All right, so let's just see what we can do. This is a Signo Uniball white gel pen. This is an Hoo fine line drawing pen. And then we've got the Surf Paints as well. What I'm interested in also is to see whether they move a little bit when they're still a little bit wet. Because I do like a lot of organic flow in my work rather than structured drawn lines. I like a little bit of both, but I think 80% of my work is generally flow, and 20% or less is generally like more structured or more defined linear work. So, you know, that's just a personal choice as well. So what I'm going to do is have a try and see if I can move some of these colors with a bit of water on the brush. But just to start somewhere, where shall I start? I'm going to start with adding in, now what I generally do is if I use a color, I'll be up there. If I use a color, I'll do it in a few places. So I'm going to use this one up here. And then, as I said, I'm going to see if I can get the paint to move a little bit, and I can. That's nice. Give me more of a flowy feeling. And then let's just bring that down. All right, nice. So then let's do something similar. We'll do a different kind of a mark. Maybe this will be the center of a flower. Okay, nice. And then maybe just a bold kind of center over here. Okay, let's try another color. So I'm just kind of looking for opportunities to bring in. So this one here, let's say I put this in the middle. And then I take this one as well and I soften. Always good to have paper towels nearby for when you get too much water down. And I could also do something a little bit different in here and add some small dots. One, two. Okay. Let's come in with something bold, maybe the English red. Might be too much, but let's just see. It's quite bold. It's bolder than most everything else that's on there. So what I generally do then is I'll make sure that I put that in some other places. Let's come up into the bird. And then let's use our wet brush to pull some of that down into the tail. So I can already see that if you don't get the wet brush into it like almost immediately, then you won't get the marker to move. So it's definitely a paint pen that's going to dry. That's going to dry permanent. So if you want to move it around, just do that straight away. Let's have a look at the turquoise and let's get a little bit of something happening in this one. And again. I think that I could also, just to get some definition going, bring a little bit of highlight in while I'm doing this with the white. And if I work quickly with that, I'll also be able to move that around. Nice. All right, so we need some of this in a third place. 1, 2, 3. while it's on my brush, might add it just to a couple of other places. And grab the turquoise, bring that into some other places as well. One flower at a time. Don't be afraid to overlap. When you overlap, you get some depth. Okay. And maybe let's put a few other birds in there as well. We've got one bird up here. What colours haven't we used yet? Let's go for this brighter red. And let's see. I can see anything that reminds me of a bird. Any bird potential. Maybe this little piece here. Maybe. That'll do it, yeah. Maybe this is the head. And then this body kind of comes down here. Let's see if we can get something in. Maybe with, oh, not the black, too much. Maybe with the pink, if we say, like this, get a little bit of the red moving around. So we've got a head there, and let's pop an orange tail in. Okay, and this is where I would bring in maybe a little beak, a bit darker, and some little feet. And if you want to push back the background anywhere, you can just use the white paint pen to do that. Run it along the edge. Maybe create some small circles up here that could be tiny flowers. Okay. And then just a touch of the yellow. And again, I'll give that a little bit of a watered down effect. He's a cute little guy. And then we'll push that white up around the top. So you can see how you can just keep on adding and adding, and how fun this can be. Let me just pull you down a little bit so you can see how this is starting to come along just with the use of these paint pens. So big thanks to Surf Paints for sending these to me. It's always so nice to have new things to try out. The fluoros are fantastic. The white is fabulous. Let's just pull in a little bit more white around his head up here. They're layering just beautifully with the paints underneath and also with each other as well. Let's try over here. Always trying to vary the types of flowers that I'm adding into a scene, all completely out of my imagination. But you could also, you know, walk out into the garden and find different shapes. Put a bit of pink over here. Oh, pull you back out so you can see what I'm doing. Bit of pink over here. You can kind of go as crazy as you want. Some pink stems. If you feel like a color is getting too overwhelming in any particular place, then make sure you bring it down to some other places. Maybe you want to actually do a repetition of some of the types of flowers that you are using. Really easy to use. These are gliding on so beautifully. And I love it. Look how that's actually pulling out that red into the pink. So it's actually giving me a little bit of tonal work without me even doing anything. It's nice. Definitely need another one of those somewhere. Maybe over here. Something in this big one here. Let's try the fluoro yellow. And then just soften it a little bit. Maybe even extend that out. Give some form to the petals. Just working with the shape that is already underneath. It's quite wet, so I'm actually drawing into the wet now, and that's giving me a different effect. So that's quite lovely as well. Maybe more defined up here, maybe a few little pieces of yellow here. Just kind of move each color around. To create leaves, flowers, birds. Let's pop another little bird in as well so that we have 3. Give this little one an eye. And maybe this one needs a little branch as well, huh? So let's, I could also bring colored pencil into the mix. Let me just grab a couple of colored pencils. I haven't unpacked all of my colored pencils yet, so I'll work with what I've got here. I've got a Holbein green, and then I've got some Faber-Castell greens as well. So let's kind of have a play with those. It's just so much fun to mix different media together. But again, you know, anytime that you bring something new in, make sure you add it in a few places. And where are we going to put another bird? This is looking quite cute already. Let's see. Maybe here, maybe something down here. What do you think? Just trying to see whether I see anything that gives me bird potential. I see like a little tiny something here, but it's kind of not in the right place because it would be right underneath this one. I feel like it needs to be somewhere over here. And I guess, you know, if you don't find a place that really says, oh, here's, you know, something that looks like a bird, then we can just pop it in. We can just contrive it and make it work. I see a few opportunities. Let's just get this in first. Get a little branch in here. Like that. Let's just try this. Let's say this little tiny circle here is an eye. If that's an eye, where would the bird be? Let's build him little bit by little bit. An eye. I'll bring you in so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, build a bird. Keep a little bit of that for the wing. And let's pop a tiny little bit of black in there for the eye. Let's pop a little beak. Oops. And a little green tail. He's a cutie. Using just a white gel pen here, but it is feeling like it is not working properly. It's better. And the white gel pen is blending nicely also with the paint pens underneath and giving me a really cute effect. Let's do his little legs in white. Super cute little bird. Now you should also be able to layer pencil over the top of the paint pens, which you can. Just to get a bit of dark in there, like that. And then let's give him a little branch as well. Really cute. Okay. Pull you back up. Cutie, cutie, cutie. And this little one over here. All right. So you can see how fun this can be to create a little floral landscape just out of a used palette of just paint that I've moved around after a previous session. And I could just keep on going, and just making each one of these splotches into a potential flower. Bring some more leaves in. overlapping other areas, trying out all the colours. If you do something that you enjoy, pop it in somewhere else as well. Think about varying sizes. So I always think in terms of small, medium, large when I'm adding elements in. We don't want everything to be exactly the same size. So here we've got our small, medium, large and those little blue flowers. So anywhere that we can kind of overlap, maybe I'll bring a few of those into this side as well. Leaving a little bit scribbly against that orange, because the orange against the blue is a complementary color scheme, and it just looks so beautiful. A tiny one. As usual, this is way longer than I thought it was going to be, but that's okay. I'm having fun. I'm having fun and I'm enjoying these beautiful surf paints. So there will be a link down below where you can find your own set. Be aware that fluoro colors are very strong. So, you know, you're going to have to kind of assess how much you want to use or whether you want to push them back in the mix at all. This one is a little bit too much for me. So I can, what could I do? I kind of like this area being a little lighter. So what I could do is just come in with the white paint pen. Yeah, and just go over. So I leave a hint of the fluoro, but not as intense as it was before. I like that better. Okay. Maybe just looking for anywhere where I could just add in something a little extra. Maybe some white highlights. In a few places. And then I could also just, to give things a little bit more cohesion, I could bring a little bit of white in around some of the areas, making sure that I just ease out the edges. I don't want to lose all the color, but I just want to give a little separation, a little bit more definition as well. Sometimes what I'll do is bring in some white ink at this point, just to push back some of the edges, but I can do that just as easily with this paint pen. It's nice. Anywhere where that just needs a little bit of pushing back, just come in with that paint pen. And I would say that I'm going to call this one done for now. I'm enjoying it. I might just give this little guy a tiny touch of white on the top of his eye, and maybe the same with this one, just a little bit of white around. And then this one here is just not quite doing it for me. What can I do with that? I can probably just push that colour back a little bit. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Maybe a little bit of the pink, just to give it a bit of variation, a bit of oomph. Yep, that's nice. And I think we can call this one done. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you've enjoyed this little play with these fabulous surf paint, acrylic water-based markers, and just to see what you can do with a piece of paper that has a bunch of swatches on it, that was used as a palette for a previous work. I can keep on playing forever, can't I? But at some point I have to stop. I think I'm going to stop right there. You get the gist. I hope you have fun, and I hope that you get to play as well very soon, and that you have a go at using watercolor paper as your palette and then coming into it with lots of other materials to create a little painting.